Welcome back to Homeopathy at Home with Melissa. Hey, Melissa.
Hey Bree, great to see you.
Always good to be here. Today we do have another special guest joining us to talk about something we have come to love. And I know, Melissa, you have a lot more experience than me, so I'm really excited to learn and hear from Rose about colostrum.
I love it. Yes, thank you so much, Rose, for being here. So today we have Rose Allison, who really is the one that has taught me the most about colostrum. And so if you are a client or maybe even a student, you've heard me talk about colostrum. I may have suggested colostrum to you, and I have specific reasons for certain people, but colostrum is a food, and I believe everybody can benefit from it. So I would love to hear, Rose, just if you'll just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you and what makes you an expert in colostrum.
Thanks for inviting me, Melissa and Bree. Good to see you. I'm Rose. I live in Colorado. I'm a wife, a mom, a grandmother. I'm a daughter. I care for my dad, who's 99, and my grandkids here. But I'm a Southerner. Was a Southerner for the first 62 years of my life, and I was very sick, and I'm back living again. I'm a Bible study leader, a small group leader. We're just kind of involved in a little bit of everything. So I'm living life and enjoying it. And you'll appreciate that more as I share with you a little bit about my story. So Melissa, if it's okay, I'll just jump in and go with that. But my story is not important because I'm not the type person to say, oh, you want to hear my story. My story is important because of how it might touch some of your listeners, because it was not a fun life for a number of years. I was in bed for 14 years. When I was homeschooling my kids and they were very young, elementary age, my health started declining and we couldn't get a grip on it. We didn't know why. We began going to doctors and they didn't know why. And it was just this slow decline. It was first one thing, then another. And we don't need to go into all the symptoms, but basically, I just wasn't functioning well. So we began seeing doctors, practitioners around the country, even. We finished seeing them in Texas, then we moved to Georgia and we saw everybody there. And then we just started kind of going around the country as we researched anyone that we thought could help. We went. And I was given a number of diagnoses, but nobody really knew. They kept giving me drugs and I couldn't handle the drugs. They would make me sicker. So I moved on into natural health. And so doctors give drugs and natural health practitioners give supplements. And I didn't handle those either. So I was kind of in a mess and kind of losing hope as we moved forward. I got to a point I couldn't get out of bed. I was exhausted all the time, so severely that I could not get up. I couldn't handle my children in the room with me. My husband had to begin homeschooling. I couldn't bathe myself. I had to have assistance from my husband or my daughter to help me. So I was just really, really sick. My body quit working. And in the middle of all this, everybody's praying for me. And I just felt like, well, God's kind of forgotten me. And looking back, that brings a big smile because he had not forgotten me, nor had he forgotten others in this situation because he was creating a plan. But I listened to a summit of the top 50 doctors from around the world. And one of them that day that I listened in was talking about bovine colostrum. And I thought, I've done everything else in this whole summit. Nothing worked. Haven't tried this one. So before the doctor speaking was through, I had already ordered the colostrum that he was recommending, had it on its way to me. And I was sure that I was going to get better because I learned what it did for the body. And I thought, man, if it does that, I'm going to be better. I'm going to be up and going again. But I wasn't. So I took it for about 6 months and I didn't see a change, but it didn't get worse. And that was something worth thinking about, especially for Brian and me. So we tried another brand, same thing, didn't work. So fast forward a few years later, I'm still really sick. I'm sicker than sick at that point. And by now, I've been through the doctors, the natural treatments, and yes, even the homeopaths. I know all of us here are lovers of homeopathy, as I am also. And I even tried a number of homeopaths, and I couldn't even take homeopathic remedies. So they just made me sicker. So I got my colostrum ordered, and well, my husband came to me and he said, honey, I want you to try another brand. And my thought was, why would I try another brand? Because the first two didn't work. That's kind of the definition of insanity. You just keep doing it and hoping for different results. But I listened. He's a very wise man, and had been praying a lot, and I knew that it was coming from a heart of gold. And so I ordered, and so I took that first capsule. I opened it up. I don't ever take a capsule. And I opened it up and I sprinkled the powder on my tongue. And I slept a few hours that night. And I had gone for years of an average of sleep 2 to 3 hours a week, not a night, but a week. And I slept 2 to 3 hours that night. And that was pretty significant for me. And so I kind of got my nerve up and just started taking more and more. So by the end of that first week, I was up to 12 capsules that I was taking. And I was coming back to life. I was sleeping some. I didn't become well overnight. That would actually be a jolt to the body if we did that from the place that I was. But I just began getting better and better. And that's when I dove in, contacted the company and said, hey, educate me here. What am I taking? What is going on in my body that's finally allowing me to start moving toward healing, to start getting my brain function back? I did use another product that's a seaweed zeolite product called Lemusie that Innovate formulates. And I had tried all sorts of things to get rid of the heavy metals, and I couldn't take any of those either. So it was, for me, it was just like, wow, this is almost a miracle. And looking back, it really was for me. And if basically I end up going to my basement and throwing out bags, we looked like we were a health food store downstairs, because we had bought everything that had been recommended and it was on our shelf, and I couldn't take it. It would always make me feel worse, but I kept trying because I was so determined to get better. I wanted to function again. So as I started getting my brain back, getting some life back in me, one of the first things I remember was singing again, laughing again, and those things. I headed to the basement, I took some trash bags, and I just hauled all those supplements out. And now we have one line of supplements that we use in our kitchen, and it only takes a few of those. So there's so much naturally that's found in that. So anyway, fast forward now 7 years, I get to pay it forward, and I've had the joy of walking with others in that same journey back to health, because I'm not alone in being that person who was sick and couldn't get answers. There's an epidemic of us out there. So Melissa, that's why I appreciate you inviting me today, because my heart is to see the same story repeated over and over. And hopefully there are some people in your group that can have that story repeated also.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. And, that's my heart too with homeopathy, is that I believe the world needs to at least know about homeopathy, and then you can make a choice. But if you don't even know it exists and that it can work so well, then, you can't make that choice. So, I believe what I heard you say is that you could not take remedies. So is it that you were too sensitive and you had aggravations, or they didn't work at all?
That's a great question, Melissa, because most people who have chronic stuff going on, it's one of the two. They either feel nothing or way too sensitive. And mine was way too sensitive. So I had a few homeopaths even get very aggravated and say, Rose, you just have to do it. You just have to bite the bullet and take it and do it. And I can remember one, I was trying so hard, and it had been 72 hours. And finally I sent a note and said, I haven't fallen asleep for 72 hours and my heart feels like it's coming out of my chest. I don't think this is working. It was like, I'm really trying here. So it was always that tight response for me. It was like, I understand now. My body didn't have the vital force to do what the remedies was giving me. Remedies are amazing, but my body had nothing to give toward healing. And I think we have to have the strength and stamina to move toward healing. We have to have something going in our bodies. And I had nothing nutritional going for me. I didn't absorb any of the foods I ate. They went through me. And my daughter's in the medical field, and she performed a lot of tests on me and looked, and she said, Mom, you look like a third world country person. You have no nutritional qualities at all in your body. So I think I was just missing that component. And now, I can take my homeopathic remedies and they work. I took one a little bit ago and I wasn't afraid to take it. I wasn't afraid I would be bouncing off the wall or something from it. So yeah.
Good. Thank you. That was going to be my next question. Can you take remedies now? So that's wonderful. And you're not ultra sensitive. I love that, because I have a great deal of, I shouldn't say that. I'm sorry. That's an over exaggeration. I have some women who are very sensitive to remedies. And, usually as a homeopath, most homeopaths, when we have ultra sensitive people, we go down to the LM potencies and we hope that's going to be, but I even see people who can't tolerate the LMs, and I get like, what else? Well, I used to think, what else can I do? I don't know what to do. And so then I learned about colostrum several years ago. And so now, and I learned that colostrum can actually help homeopathic medicines work better. So I started suggesting it to more and more people. And, my only block is, that when the person is a vegan and they won't take the colostrum, and then I really have nowhere else to go to help with remedies. What do you say about that?
I look up, one of the questions on the company's FAQ for colostrum is about people who are vegans, and even the rishis in India who are totally vegan have used this for centuries with their patients, with their clients. And it is a pre-milk fluid. It's not milk. So it's a pre-milk fluid that God designed for all mammals. It was designed for them, even if they're vegetarian. At birth, it was designed for their bodies. So if someone at that point refused it, I would just have to respect their beliefs. But there are so many that have done it. And, with the information that I came across, I thought, I think it's pretty common that vegetarians will use it. I can understand them not using it if it's got transitional milk in it. And maybe we'll get to that point in our conversation, but this is definitely not a milk product.
Of course. Yeah. I definitely always respect, any of you listeners right now that are vegans and you just say you absolutely can't do it. I always respect that. But for those that would, consider it, I think it can be a huge help. So
significantly.
Thank you for that. I also heard you say the word Lemusie. And so I know people are going to say, wait, what did she say? What was that word? Do you mind telling us what that is and why we would want to use that?
Yes, most people want it spelled Limuz, and then there's a big 6 by it. That's Lemusie 6. Limu is from the seaweed aritaponica, and Novate harvests theirs from the blue zones around the world, and the blue zones are the places in the world where people most often live past 100. And I always laugh when I get to say that, because my dad's 99. He is on no drugs, 0 drugs. He takes colostrum, Lemusie, and OxyQuest, which are all 3 Novate products. And everyone that comes in, we're sitting in his place. We're there quite often with him. He lives nearby and I'm his caregiver. And they always say, how do you keep him so strong? And I just point to the table and say that, and that. And my dad always says, and a lot of prayer. And I agree with all of those. But Lemusie has a seaweed in it. And I literally taught a class last night for 30 minutes on it, so we can't go there. But the laminaria japonica has some components to it, fucoidan and fucoxanthin. And then there's zeolite that's added to that. And it's a lot of people, there's a bad rap on zeolite today because of one person who put some information out about it, and everything has been debunked about what they said about zeolite, because the zeolite that's used in our Lemusie is taken, it's called clinaptolite. It's just the more edible form of zeolite, and it's heated to a very high temperature. It makes it very pure, makes the little honeycombs open. And what it does, it goes through your body like a magnet. It is a magnet, and it attracts the positive base ion, the metals in your system. The positive base are the negative ones we want to get rid of. So you have to kind of wrap your brain around that. The positive needs to go, the negative needs to stay. And the zeolite picks that up. And I believe the reason I could take it when I couldn't take anything else to clear out my heavy metals, I couldn't take chlorella, I couldn't use any of the chelation things they did with me. I got so sick. My body couldn't release them. It was like they would just circulate and create issues in me. And the zeolite cannot absorb in your body. It has to go. It is, once it goes in, it has to go out. So you're going to get rid of it, and it's picking up along the way all these things, crosses the blood-brain barrier, and it's picking up all these things that need to leave your system. So attached with that, you have your laminaria japonica, which also is a seaweed that has an affinity to help cleanse heavy metals. This is a huge issue when we have chronic illness. There's almost always some of that going on because our detox pathways are not good. And the last thing I'll say about it, because I honestly could go on and on, but the last thing that's important to know about it is the 6 at the end of the name, Lemusie 6, is an indication that it has a little bit of the colostrum that we're talking about. And the colostrum formulation that we use is called, it's a whole food only, is called Colostrum 6. And the 6 indicates the components that are naturally present in it. So he puts a little bit of that in the Lemusie. And what that does is makes sure that that Lemusie is delivered deeply into the body where it needs to go. Colostrum's kind of like the carrier. It's your escort through your body, going, go here, go here, go here, go here. And then the zeolites in there go, but you're headed out. So I call it the trash truck. The two of those go really, really well together.
Okay, I had a question about, I mean, I know what colostrum is, and we know as humans, human moms also make colostrum. So I did not know, though, that it's not considered milk, like, at all. So does that also mean people who are or have dairy allergies to the protein or lactose can still take colostrum?
That is an excellent question, Bree. I often in my group, I will point people to a YouTube by Dr. Andrew Keach. And I always say he has wonderful information. He has a lousy product. That was the first product that I tried because it's a fractionated product. It's not complete. But he has a great teaching where he talks about people who have dairy intolerances. We hear it so much. Oh, I can't have any form of dairy because. And he actually teaches that the benefit to the immune system of colostrum is so powerful, but it retrains your immune system. So where you've been reacting to these dairy products, it trains your immune system to stop its overreaction. We have, as you know, in autoimmunity, we have overreaction, we have underreaction. That's what goes on. Colostrum gives the body what it needs to balance. And when you get it in its whole food form, it has something in it called proline-rich polypeptides. We're going to call it PRP, and that's all you need to remember. And it's in the fat of the colostrum. And that is the component of it that helps your body to regulate. So when you're getting a good source of that PRP in your immune system, when you take it, it's helping your immune system to go, oh, I've been reacting all this time to something I didn't need to react to. And we could, again, spend 30 minutes talking about why you're reacting to it in the first place, but we don't need to go there. It's just important to know that it's a regulator. In herbs, we talk about adaptogenics. Colostrum is your adaptogenic in whole food. It helps your immune system to do. And it's so many people that are chronic want to know, is this going to overstimulate me? That was my question. If you've been chronically ill and you've been overstimulated by a drug or a supplement, you know the misery, and it takes a long time to come back down from that, and it's literally miserable. Colostrum never did that for me. If I get too much, it's not dangerous at all. I get sleepy and tired and just want to take a good nap. So it's so regulating in that manner that we see people generally respond well. We do say to them, don't take colostrum in this mouth and drink a big glass of milk, right after it. That's not how our bodies work. It takes some time, and then you want to rebuild that and just slowly add in. I have a number of people in my group who have done that, and there's nothing more exciting to me than to get a text at 10:30 at night that says, I just had a glass of milk and I'm doing great, and that's what makes me tick. So we hear that quite often.
Okay. So you have said that this is a good whole food source, which implies that there's a bad type of sourcing colostrum, or maybe not bad as much as just incomplete.
Exactly.
And so if a farmer has a cow, they have colostrum. So this might be stupid. I don't think I ever thought about a cow having colostrum before milk, like a person.
Okay.
Why I just always thought a cow has milk. Okay. Until I met Melissa and she told me. So I have known that part for a little while, but could you just get colostrum from any old cow, like where we get our raw milk? Or what is, I guess, the way that this is sourced well that makes it different? And then how is it how is it processed? If I were to order this, what does it look like when I get it? Is it a powder or like a liquid?
Sure.
Two questions in one.
So that's 3-part, and help keep me straight. Help keep steering me. Okay.
I gave you a lot right there.
It's okay. Keep steering me. So I want to first of all help us to understand, when I had my babies, you guys had your babies, part of their immune system comes through the placenta. And there's a significant part also that we can give them after they're born in those first few days when our colostrum is there before our milk lets in. And our babies that are on colostrum are definitely from all the studies, seem to be stronger in their immune system. Well, with cows, they don't have that going on. The whole immune system comes through that colostrum. So a calf that doesn't get their colostrum when they're first born has a very poor chance of surviving. So often if there's a sick calf, I've heard of them, and I'll always say, get some colostrum. I'll find somebody around you who has some colostrum and try to get them some of ours, the whole milk. They have to have that to survive. That is their immune system. That's their whole immune system. And just to add this in, their colostrum is 99% identical to ours in makeup. It is much stronger than ours, but in terms of makeup, it is much the same. So the colostrum is, the cow is a universal donor of colostrum to all mammals. So keep that in mind on farms. It's phenomenal. I have prayed for chickens. I've seen them survive attacks with their mama giving them plenty of colostrum. We do that. So the value in the way that ours is taken that keeps it colostrum, what happens when that calf is born and it goes to suckle, as soon as the calf starts suckling, the transitional milk starts letting down. And at that point, your colostrum begins to lose in terms of its strength as colostrum. So what has been developed, Dr. Kleinsmith does it in a very, I want to say proprietary, but yet not in a sense. He's worked very closely with Cornell University with the veterinarian department because they're so impressed with his the value of his colostrum. They've done all sorts of testing on it, reached out and said, what are you doing? This stuff is amazing. He takes the colostrum from the cow before the calf suckles. There's a way you can get it. The cow produces, I believe it's 10 quarts. I'm pretty sure that's correct. It's something like that. But the calf only needs a certain amount, and the calf will only drink a certain amount. But God had the cows make more. So that is taken. The calf is always given what they need, always has extra. They're very, very particular with that and the manner in which it's done on the farms. But we then end up with this really, really strong colostrum product. The fluid is removed from it. He uses a very low heat dehydration to pull the fluid off. And it's so low that it's still considered raw. So we then get it in powder form or capsule. If someone purchases the capsules, it has a gelatin cap, but what's inside of it is the same that comes in our colostrum tubs. And then we also have a chewable that has vitamin C in it that is amazing also. So those are the 3 forms. Did I answer all 3 of those in one?
You did. It was great. That was I mean, I didn't mean for it to be a 3-part question. And I did know how it comes because I had it, but I know people are going to want to know what to expect when it comes. Like, am I getting a liquid colostrum? What am I going to do with that? So that I have heard of the powder you can sprinkle on stuff or take it that way.
With Dr. Kleinsmith's powder, it is a whole food, so it still has the fat attached. There's not another one on the market that I know of that is taken in a proper manner to keep it whole without transitional milk, and that is completely intact. There are those who claim it. You can call them, and there's a series of questions we ask. And unless it was yesterday, there's not been another one that was found to be the same, that it is literally the whole food. So you can froth it into your coffee if you want an amazing latte. Put a little bit of coffee in the bottom of your cup, put a big spoonful of colostrum and use a little frother and froth it in, and then slowly add your coffee and call me and say, thanks, Rose. It's really, really, really good.
Melissa will do that. She loves finding new fancy coffees. I mean,
yeah, very good. Kids love it. My grandkids beg for it. My 4-year-old, literally, I wish I had it sitting here. I have a little 2.5 ounce tub that's hers. And last week she emptied it, and it's the travel size. I mean, it's like that big. And she emptied it in 3 visits here. So I just refill it. And Sunday she was like, I need my colostrum, Grammy. And she has it every day. But when she comes, she knows Grammy will feed it to her all day. And so I just get it out and let them go for it because I know what it's doing in their bodies and it's okay with her parents. I'm not one of those grandmothers that does things. You did ask another question, Bree, that I did not finish answering in your 3-parter. You asked about the why not to get it from your farmer. And I think I understood that. That is really important. So we love our farmers. Brian and I have one for an egg one and a beef one and a pork one and a chicken one and a vegetable. We love our farmers, support them. But when it comes to colostrum, they have it, and wise farmers know to collect it and to freeze it. They don't know that proprietary manner. And when they collect it, they've probably collected it after the calf has had some. Being good farmers, they want their calf to get all that they need. And so they freeze it, and it does have transitional milk. And it is from one pasture. So Anovite takes their cows. There are cows all across the U.S. None are outside the U.S. They are in pastures all over the U.S. They strategically have them placed in heavy areas that may have a lot of ticks. What they're after is antibodies. They're picking up antibodies from all over our country. That is huge because then all of the colostrum comes into a central place. It is pooled together. So when I take my bite of colostrum, it's got antibodies from all over the country. Our farmers can't beat that. So I like to say to my farmers, I buy my beef and all the things from you, and you buy your colostrum from me. And they do. And we have a great relationship, and they understand it. They say, you are absolutely correct. So they're getting a really solid product, and they can tell the difference in that too. So that's why it's key.
That is very cool. I have one more question, I think. I know I'm always doing this, but so I'm trying to understand this correctly. It's not considered a supplement because it is a whole food.
Right.
And Melissa and I talk about this often, that we have just not found ourselves needing supplements with using homeopathy. Melissa, we suggest colostrum often also. So if you don't mind sharing part of your journey, I mean, you invested a lot into supplements over all of the years. We get a lot of people who are in that same position, who have their entire cabinet full of supplements they've spent a lot of money on. And then we're telling them, oh, you don't need them. Or I know every once in a while there may be a use and a time and place for a short period of time, but do you mind sharing what that was like for you when you just got rid of them all? You use colostrum. Did you ever need more? Do you find yourself in a better position not having those in your home anymore?
Oh, yes.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I definitely loved getting rid of them because my body didn't know how to recognize it. With colostrum, because it has everything your body. So if we had no food, it has everything in it that your body needs to not only survive, but thrive. So it has your vitamins, your amino acids, your essential fatty acids. It has naturally present probiotics, prebiotics. And I mean, those are pretty much what you need. So I did an interview with our owner a few years back and said, hey, Dr. K, how can, I hear a lot of people say I can't afford to take colostrum and Lemusie because, wow, am I really buying all these things? So tell me, speak to me about that. So he spoke to us and he said, clean your medicine cabinet out. You don't need those things anymore. The vitamins are there, but he said, there are those things, you may want, I think he mentioned CoQ10. He had a few different things that were very specific to him. So if you have some things that are very specific to you, I know for me, I have some genetic mutation issues, significant ones. And one of them is I can't handle B vitamins at all. So I use a desiccated liver powder, so that's one more thing that I have sitting on my shelf because I need that B vitamin because all the B vitamins are there in an abundance. And I get some really good B in my colostrum. But what happens when you take colostrum, so I take it with my desiccated liver, and colostrum enhances everything you do. So the vitamins that are present in it are greatly enhanced. You're absorbing those 99%, where I think magnesium you absorb, is it 20%? I believe that if I take a magnesium supplement, I absorb 20. If the naturally present magnesium in colostrum, I take it, I absorb 99% of that. So it's not apples for apples when you start looking at the percentages, but when you look at the absorption rate, it is very, very significant. My probiotic 7 years ago was $150 a bottle, and it really wasn't doing anything great for me, but it was the only thing I could at least handle. And I thought, well, I just probably need one because I'm so sick. And thank goodness I didn't throw that one away. I did finish it. I just couldn't quite throw that in the trash, but I haven't ever bought another one. And that's just not my issue. My gut is not my issue. Novate has a great new gut product out that is amazing. We don't have time to go there, but it also has pre-pro and postbiotics. So those are important for us. But I am a firm believer in having things the way God designed them, the way God made them. My body can handle the way God did it, not a man-made supplement that looks like it should fit together really well.
I love that. I agree. Thank you for that. I have one last question before we end, and then we'll wrap it up. But my question is there a minimum age for colostrum? So, because some, usually when I'm helping a family, and if one of the family members is a baby, who is still breastfeeding or did breastfeed, not that long ago, then the mom might think, well, he or she doesn't need colostrum. And I honestly don't know, sometimes I kind of wrestle with that. Maybe they don't. Do you have anything to say about, a baby or a toddler taking colostrum?
Oh, very much. Dr. Klainsmith loves to say that his children had his 3 adult children now had it from birth. His wife had it all during pregnancy. And what he would do would be in the morning, in the evenings, she would sleep and he would get up and fix bottles and he would put it in every bottle from day one. So they've had it every day of their lives. I love my personal story. Our 4th grandchild was born here in Colorado. She was born at 4 pounds, very, very, very tiny little gal, and she had had some significant challenges in the womb, as had her mom. Her mom could not eat during her pregnancy and states to this day that she believes colostrum kept her alive because she could not handle food. And then that means our little one had it also in the womb. From day one, she has had it, and she's my little, she's still tiny but mighty, as we say. She's 4 now. And then her brother was born at 5 pounds 2 years ago, and he has had it every day of his life. So what my daughter did with pumped milk, they were so tiny, they were not able to nurse because they didn't have the strength when they were first born, and she would froth it into the pumped milk, and they would get it that way from day one. And yeah, I definitely believe in it after watching them both thrive, and they love it to this day. They cannot get enough to eat of it. I do finally turn them off, say, this is probably enough. And I have to do the same with Dad, who's 99. I had to recently cut him back and say, Dad, 5 spoonfuls at bedtime may just be a little bit overkill. We may just need to, because he takes it twice a day. It's not that it's bad for him. It's that there's just this point you don't need more. And and I'm watching his expenses going, maybe we could just not do, maybe we could do 3 spoonfuls instead of 5. So.
Yes, I love it. Yep, I like to put it in my coffee. And yeah, it's so good. So thank you so much for being here and for just sharing that information. It's been on my radar for a long time to talk about colostrum on my podcast. And the Lord just really brought it to me yesterday. And I was like, Rose, you're the perfect person
Oh,
to help
thank you.
my listeners understand colostrum. So I'm so thankful that you're here.
Thanks for having me. It was a joy. I always love sharing because it brought life back to me. And I'm just so grateful today that I'm not still lying on the bed, looking out the window, wishing I could live again.
Me too. So thankful. So friends, what I'm going to do is you can find my link in the description of this podcast or in the description of the YouTube video. If you're watching the YouTube video, you'll see my link. Just click on it and it'll take you right to, in fact, I'll add instructions. It's just like 3 steps, I think. Click my link and then you'll see colostrum 6 and then maybe there's one more. Just remember there's 3 steps to ordering it, because when I share it with people, I tell them what to do so you can find it easily. And you can start with a little one, see if you like it and see what happens. And but there's a big one that you can buy too. So if you have a whole family that you're feeding colostrum to, you can buy a big bag or you can start small. And I'll put all of that in the notes in the description. And I just am so thankful again that you've been here, and you guys just have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here.